All right. Um, so I want to add more targets to this game, and I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think I figured out where I want to add them. So typically, what I would do with these ramps, I would use these bumper posts as a way to hold down ramp flaps and whatnot to just make life a little bit easier. But these stern ramps already have spots to rivet the ramp flaps on them. So I might as well use that. And in doing that, I can add targets where these bumper posts are. And I can add a target where this bumper post is, and likewise next to the spinner over here, and push these targets in. So I should be able to add maybe four more targets, five, six more targets, something like that, into this layout. Uh, if I play my cards right, right? And I want to try and do that today. Then once I'm done with that, I want to. I've been thinking about the rules a little bit, and I want to start writing down the rules in the GDD. So that's kind of the plan for today. So let's grab six targets because I'd like to replace these posts also, but these posts are attached to the plastics, so that might be a little bit more difficult to do. But I'll see. So one, two, three, four, and then two in the back. Five, six. Um, these back ones I want orange, and these four in the front I want green. This target is probably gonna go away, and I'm just gonna have another rubber over here. And then this target's probably gonna go away, and I'm only gonna have two targets back here and metal guides that kind of funnel the ball in underneath the pumpkin. So when you hit up with this left flipper into that area, it deflects from there over to this rubber a little more consistently right inside. And also because it's going to be under the pumpkin, there's going to be some stuff over it, like plastics and metal over it, so the ball won't fly up all over the place, which is a problem that I'm currently having. Okay, so the first step with all of this is to mate things properly on the bottom of the playfield. Not show the entire world. Thank you. A couple things I need to do. Hang on one sec. That there's all right. Okay. So yeah, let's get all these things mated to the bottom of this playfield. Then I'll start moving them around to where I think I want them, and I'll see if they fit. Hope they fit. So for these targets, I'm thinking about calling them the vine target, and that'll light the lock. Then two of these targets that are orange, I don't know what I want them to be for. Maybe they'll be related to some. I don't know. I, I haven't figured that out yet. But whoops, there's a couple more targets I need to do. But I definitely know I want the vine targets, and I definitely know I want the pumpkin or the two orange targets, and I definitely know I want to reduce the pumpkin targets and bring them into more of a gully area. Right, so that's all the targets. Yeah. All right. So these are the easier targets. So if I get rid of this guy, I put this in front here. See, that takes up roughly the same amount of space, right? And if I put this over here, so now that's protecting the metal piece a little bit more. I can pull the metal forward a little bit, and these targets can go in more. If I pull you up here and you up here. So something to take note of, and I'm actually going to hide the pumpkin for a second, because the pumpkin is obscuring my under area. So something to take note of that I'm going to draw. Yeah, so see if I pull these up here and I get rid of this one. Um, so when this deflects, it's going to come kind of back this way. If this goes in there, it's going to come right back to it. And I was thinking about just making this a rubber with a simple leaf switch in there, but the rubbers underneath the pumpkin will be really hard to replace if something happens. The targets you can just pull from the bottom and it's all good. Okay, let's go down to a new sketch for a second, because I want to see what the spread from the flipper is going to be like. From like there up there. So remember, the flipper only has a certain amount of space it can go. This over here for a second so I can then manipulate this a little bit better. Then the ball only has a certain amount of space it can go, right? So I don't need the targets to be like hidden behind something necessarily, because the ball will never go there. So this is going to be 1 1/16. That's ball width. And then from here, I need to zoom out for this. From the midpoint here to the midpoint here is gonna be perpendicular on both of those to make sure that it's a proper cone. And these, I don't want any of these to be perpendicular. Yeah, get rid of that. And then this is going to be about 2.5 inches again, our typical 2.5. So this can kind of come up here. So this is basically the spread that comes in through this area, right? From the flipper. Let's mount this on the flipper about here. And this comes up to about there. So now we know exactly where the ball is going to go if you shoot up there. This reflector over here is going to hit the ball up, but it's not as big of a deal as to where that kind of goes. So what this tells me is this target is way too angular. So I probably don't want this target. Oops. Get rid of this now. Probably don't want this target. Instead, I want this target over here. And then this target. So let's think about the angle of reflection for a second. If the ball hits right into this target, it's going to come out here kind of into the side of that. That's not too ideal, but it's not terrible. So not terrible. So the ball hits this direction, it's going to come out here. I don't want this back here more. I don't want this back here more. So now when this comes out, it will come out more directed to this. This is, of course, going to come out way directed to this. What happens if I put this target more up here? I need to be careful about this hole. Now that's going to send it way too far over. That's not what I want. Even if I have a guide over here. Like if I have a guide kind of going in here to kind of push the ball in a direction, it's not really what I want. So I think I do want something more like this. And then this one over in the corner makes more sense. With the guide directing into there, and then a guide directing into here. Now I wonder if I only need one target for this. That would be preferable if I only need one target. I don't think I can, though, because this is kind of in the way. Now, what I do have here are rectangle targets. What if I grab a square target? This. So if I have two square targets over here, you can see the size difference, right? That might fit a little bit better in this spot. Yeah, so if you shoot straight up and hit this when it's straight down, it's going to come this way. That's not really ideal, right? Now, I could put a rubber along here a little bit, so you shoot up and it bounces a little bit. But I do kind of want it to reflect over to this guy a little more consistently. If this target faces directly back in the same direction as the shot, it'll reflect directly back because it's basically like hitting a wall and coming right back, right? Which is also not what I want. I don't want it to necessarily come straight back to the flipper. I do want it to ricochet over a little bit. Maybe I can't push that in. Maybe this has to go in over here like it was. Where's that other target that I moved out of the way? Oh. Keep these two targets here. That target there and this target here. See, that's a little awkward because now I have this thin target along with it. And I don't really like that. That kind of breaks conformity or uniformity. I pull this up ever so slightly and I pull this in ever so slightly. Now that will obviously throw it that way. That will, I think this might be our goal, which then means this post that I moved out of the way can go right here. And I can put a mini post right here, maybe, to protect against this section. So yeah, shooting up here, this will reflect this back down this way. But shooting in here will reflect it way over more. I do have this. See if I rotate this a little less. This and rotate this like this. So now this is still going to deflect this way a bit. Love it for this target to be up there more. I don't think that'll fit. Actually, that will fit, won't it? That definitely will fit right there. That post right there. Okay, that looks fine. I mean, this should be uniform with that. And I can make that uniform with that, I think. This thing over here, oh, that's got the in cut down there. I can't do that. That has to be, yeah, that has to be down like this. What if I take this post, move it, put a target here? I like the target there a bit. That fills out that area a little bit more. Yeah, that fills out that area a little bit more than the post. I'd rather this be right over here, though. Maybe a full-size target makes sense for there. I take the full-size target does kind of fit there. You know what? A full-size target would probably fit there fine. Let's let's mate this. Rotate this. So in doing that, one thing I did have in a weird spot is this. So if I pull this up a little bit, um, and this target can come up a little bit more, like there. So the ball could hit the edge of that target. That means that target's not very. This target can't work there because of where the ball can hit. Yeah, that's too bad. There needs to be a target like this more. Now it can't really hit the edge of that target very easily. Um, and the target will block the corner of the ramp generally. I put it like there. So that could work. Um, so if this shoots straight up in there, it's gonna kind of come down here. If this shoots straight up in here, it's gonna kind of go out. Not quite ideal. Now what happens? If this comes up here, it's still gonna kind of go out. This over here is still fine. Maybe I want this target more straight down. let's go back to the sketch for a second and see roughly what this would do. That goes like straight up there, basically. The normal of this thing is that, and the angle of reflection like that. Okay, so that's going to reflect fine, actually. Yeah, that'll reflect. So, see what I did here? I created a normal right off of the angle of the target, and then I created basically a reflected angle line to kind of show where this shot is going to end up when it ricochets. And it's not always going to be like this. Sometimes it'll be a little different, right? But this clearly kind of comes way into the middle of the flipper. So even if gravity takes over, it's going to kind of come down here. So you can probably still get the ball with that. So that's good. If I can get rid of this, I can get rid of this. I can bring this back to where it was up over here. Okay, so I'm fine with that. What are you complaining about? I'll deal with that later. Um, okay, so I guess it all comes down to these targets here. This is offset. If I don't want this offset and I want this more equal along here to this, then this target reflection, I go back to this. I'm gonna draw a line normal. Come on. Well, what are you doing? That is not correct. Come on. I draw a line that's normal to this. Perpendicular, let's go. Hold this here. Say right in that middle. It'll come over this way. And that goes right into this upper part of the rubber. So you're not necessarily going to flip it or hit it with this, which might not be desirable. So I might actually want to aim this down more, which would be a little bit better. Sketch, yes, I know there are problems. Rotate this, this, build, that will fix this normal. See, these things are that fixes that normal. So now this is more like this. But I really do want this to be more down. So it definitely needs to be more flat, which actually works out. Because that makes this angle a lot nicer to deal with. Let's make this more flat. It also means this can probably be more flat. Also means this can come up and in more, kind of like what I wanted originally. Okay. Now let's see what this does. This next here. This angle now. That angle now goes much more to that. So if this comes up like here, the angle is coming up like that. This comes down to here. This angle is coming to that. So that actually might be the angle that I want for both of these targets. Because that seems to be sending it right in there. If this goes in right here, I can create another normal actually. This in this perpendicular goes up like that. Now if I bring this over to here, this reflection is going to be more like this. This is going to go lower. So I actually want this target rotated more. So now that that's coming in there, that reflection is there. The reflection to be down here. Oh, I guess I do want it flatter, don't I? Yeah, I do want it more flat. Come on, rotate. The selected object not be moved. Rotate. Build. That's the normal. So if this hits there, that reflects way over to here. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna want this just as flat as this thing. So it might make sense to have two smaller targets there that are in that same uh in that row to reflect. Make these so they are guidant. I'm gonna make this onto here. I'll mate the other one onto there. And then I'm going to make sure they are next to each other, but not like totally next to each other. Oh, wait, these are rectangle targets. I don't want a rectangle. I already have rectangle targets, and I want square targets. What am I doing? Okay, let's try this again. Let's mate this, and a distance of 1/8. Then mouse, thank you. Let's mate these together like that. Then let's mate these together like that. And finally, let's mate this onto bottom of the playfield. Okay, so we now have that. Let's get rid of these targets, which I don't want these targets. Okay. Now these can come over here. This should be rotated so it's the same angle as this target, like that. Because that angle of reflection should send it where I want it to go. Okay, that's what I need. Now, these things, get out of here. This sketch down here, get updated. I don't want any of these lines on there anymore. But I am going to add in a diagonal that represents where these targets would be. And I'll fix this and I'll make sure that's fixed, and I'll add a normal. Make sure that's perpendicular. Okay, so now if I go here, this, I want this to be driven. Let's make it so we can see what we're doing for a second. So if that's driven, that angle will change, right? And then this other one, come on. For there is this point. At this point. Oh, that's this thing. I don't want this thing to exist. Okay, so now if we look at this angle here, this is a 12-degree angle. Like if the ball manages off of that, if the ball manages to hit in this corner here, the angle will come down this way. So the center of the ball will go here, and you'll hit the ball over there. So this is way over in the corner, right? This is assuming the ball, and let's change this to be actual ball size for a second. 1/16. So the ball can't actually ever hit there, technically, because look at this post down here. See, you're gonna clip this target instead. So let's bring it to a point where it can actually hit, which is right here. So this is the furthest to the right the ball can hit from the lower left flipper. Theoretically, right? So now this angle is 12.82. If we make this roughly 12.82, this is going to go right onto that 12.82. This is going to go like right over here. Okay? Right over near where this thing is. So if you flip at the right time, you should be able to push it right around, which is great. That's what we want. Now let's go up to this target up here. So the furthest point you can hit is approximately here. So then this would be 15.28. And you'd reflect that way, which in reality, the furthest point you'd be able to hit is over here. Don't do that. Furthest point you'd be able to hit is over here. Because remember, the ball size needs to come back out. And a good way to represent this is with this thing. 1 and 1/16. We can make this for construction. So if I put this here, so the ball would have to hit like here, right? So this is 1510, 1510. So when it reflects off this upper target, it's going to come and hit this thing. Now, let's say I want it to be more direct to this. And instead, I move this a little further up. Okay? So now, the ball... Oh, don't do that. If this goes here, let's fix this for a second. So now the ball... this is 1413. 1413. The ball is going to just make it past everything. Right here. So technically, I should have another... well, I should push the targets up a little bit over here. I should have another little rubber post or something right here. Which would be kind of awkward because now you're going to have some dead space that the ball could hit. I'm not a fan of that. And if you look on this side, you now have less space to shoot in. Now, that said, if I don't fix this here, and if I allow you to hit up in this corner, you're going to hit this corner more often, but then you're going to dribble out and you're going to come right down. You're not going to come over to this thing. So I probably don't want to push the targets that far back because of those reasons. So if the targets are right over here, and the furthest most that the target can hit is that. This is 15 exactly. That's going to still miss the target, or miss this target. And remember, if the ball goes over a little bit more, what I can do is I can take this post, and I can shift this post ever so slightly, so the reflection off of this won't hit the edge of won't hit the corner of this thing. And that's kind of what I want to do. So let's leave this here for a second. Let's then take this guy, and actually, let's not do that yet. Let's go back to this sketch, because I want to draw another ball up here. It's also going to be for construction equal to this. So this is going to tell me where the post is going to need to be to allow the ball to not nick the post. And it actually looks like the post is roughly where it needs to be. So if it hits this corner, it's going to kind of dribble down more. But if it hits right in the square in the center back here, it's going to come out to this thing. You know, if I hit right here, this is 14.28. 14.28. And that brings you right down to this guy. So boom, boom, boom. Like, hit the target, reflect to the kicker, hit the flipper button, and right around the ramp. So you can boom, 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 you know. That seems about right. And since the ball can't go any further left than that, I could put... It's probably fine to put 2 oblong targets there again. I think I deleted those things, though. Or did I just move them out of the way? Well, no, I moved them out of the way. So I could take these things and bring them over there and have the rectangle targets. That'll just give it a little bit more space on the left and right, just to fill out like this section here, just a little bit more, and add a little bit more flatness around along here, and this will fill out a little bit more. So yes, most of this target will never really be used, and you'll mostly be hitting this target on the right. And one could argue, since this can only go this far here, technically, a single long target might be fine. And I agree, a single long target probably will be fine. I don't know if that's the right choice, but a single long target might be fine. Um, and I do have this really long target, and this might work good. This is probably exactly what I want in there, just that one longer target. And I'm trying to think what this target was. Because I didn't actually put a part number on this part, unfortunately. Um, so that might actually be like this Williams target, because this seems kind of long. Um, Maybe not as long as this. Like if I have it next to each other, maybe it's not as long as that. It might be more like one of these stern targets. Um, for the data east target, because of how wide it is. Let's try. Oh, it might be this one. No, what does this face go to? Yeah, it's 1.5 inch face. It's one of these faces, the 1.5 inch, because that's the longer rectangle than normal. Don't mind me while I scrub through parts lists and see if I can find this particular target. I may or may not be able to find faces there. Because I know it's one and a half. Um, Maybe it is this one. Yeah, no, I think it is this one. This is one and a half. Yeah, no, it is this one. Um, what's the measurement on this? From Not from there. From here to here. One and a half. Okay, it is that one. So this is the correct solution, to use this one target instead of two separate targets, which is great because that saves some money, right? um, so I am going to exit the sketch and use this particular target. Get these out of the way. Pull this here. And rotate this guy. Be basically there. As you can see on this far left, it's not going to go beyond that. I can put a couple rubber posts here, which is fine. This whole thing can be under a plastic. That reflection point will always be reflecting where I need it to be. Pull you somewhere. Let's put you over here for funsies. Yeah, why are you complaining in particular? Complaining about some concentric thing that apparently I moved. Anyways, so I think that one target is all I need. And then if I put a couple of these other posts around, because the ball will never can deflect this way a little bit. Or maybe I just need a piece of sheet metal because then that reflects the ball. That might work fine if I put a piece of sheet metal here, because then when this reflects up, it's sheet metal into that. Yeah, how would I do that? How would I just put a sheet metal guide there? Okay, device holes is just not having a good time at the what's some relation is not good. Oh, is it because I know why. Build a sketch. I know why. It's because yeah, it's because these two things are crossing. That's 100% why. Okay. Let's unfix this. Unfix this. Technically this is no longer a thing. Now it'll work, I think. Yeah, now it's happy again. This is not going to be a thing soon. Instead, this is a thing. And again, because it's one target, it saves some money instead of the two. Because even though this is a $9 target, um, it's still cheaper than two $7 targets, right? Half an inch. It's gonna be 1 5/8. This is gonna be This is gonna be actually collinear to this, at least for now, and then I can fix it and adjust it to where I need it to be. Is there-ish. And then, okay, where's my fillet? Up here. Okay, this fillet, I need to get rid of um, 4 of these because I need to delete this thing. So I don't want you, you, or you. And I do want you, and over here, you. Oh, you? Yeah, you. Now let's go back to device holes. Let's then fully get rid of this thing. That's no longer needed. All right, cool. So now that's where this target can live. And these are comfortably living right there. I should make holes for those whilst I'm at it, because I do want to keep these here. These are collinear. These are collinear. These are equal. And this is 0.5. And this is 5/8, I believe. Yes, 5/8 will be fine. I mean, it's just like kissing the side, but I can shimmy the thing in. Maybe I should make it the 5/8, 10/16, 20, 32, 21, 30 seconds. You know, just kick it out just a little bit more. And these things need to be equal. This and this be equal. This needs to go where this target is. So, I mean, if this slides back this way a little bit, you know, I can shimmy this over a little bit more and it should be fine. I can always pull this down a tick or some such. And this shimmy is really not going to cause a problem. This shimmy really is not going to cause a problem. This is going to be rattling a lot. And maybe you'll hit the back or corner of the target. It's not going to be perfect. But if you shoot up through this spinner slot, more likely than not, you're going to go up and through it. Or if you're not, you're going to be so slow that touching the back of this isn't going to be that big of a deal. Then let's put fillets around all of these. So now it will just barely fit, but that's exactly what we want. We want it to just barely fit. Exit that out, move this to here. And now we did adjust this, so I do need to double check the reflection of this, which is this sketch here. Of course, that got thrown way the hell up there. What? Why? Why are you? What are you attached to that's making you not want to come down? Huh? Here we go. Oh, it was attached to this thing. Right. Well, now it's attached to this. So hitting this angle here, this can come right up into here technically, but then that's gonna hit the post. So if it hits the post, it's gonna hit the post there, and then that's gonna get past the target without a problem. Then on this side, it goes to this extreme of the target. Where is that down here? That just makes it. But if I have a metal guide right here guiding it in, it's going to reflect in there a little bit more. This is really the extreme that it can get to right on this corner. Don't do that. What did you attach? Don't attach. I mean, it can get to the extreme of this corner here, but when I have a reflection, a guide reflection right here, coming from this post up to here, Well, the ball can't actually go there, so it's going to glide up here and it's going to hit here. No, stop that. It's going to glide up and hit at best here. Stop attaching, you damn thing. It's going to hit here. Then this angle is 13.84, so 13.84. And that's going to throw this right square on into the middle of this kicker. So that's pretty awesome. So that's the lowest point there. The highest point up here, this is 15.3. 15.3. That's going to throw it right over here. So I can actually affect this, and I can rotate this ever so slightly, and it'll actually fit even better onto the kicker. Because if I bring this way down to this extreme and make this the 13.8 again, I do actually want to get a little bit lower on that kicker. Because the sweet spot of the kicker is going to send it forward. And if it's a little higher than this, it's going to send it up more. So it's in my best interest, actually, to take this target. Well, it's actually in my real best interest not to do anything dumb and unfix this and figure out what the actual angle should be. Good, unfix this. What are you attached to? I'm attached to that. Stop that. Let me. You attach. Makes it not possible to. Why you're attached to that. Just need to go there. So that angle 9.9, basically 10. That sends it too far. I want it more like here. 15.69. 15.69. Sends that way over there. Okay, let's not do that. Get it back more to where it was, so 9.95. 9.95. That. What? Is this moving or that's moving around? That's the problem. Oh, that's the problem. Okay. Well, this, I mean, it only has to change ever so slightly, so let's fix that there. Let's make this 12.27. 12.27. That throws it right down onto the kicker there. Then let's pull this up to the extreme up here. No. Let's pull this up to the extreme up here. This is now 13.70. 13.70. That throws it a little higher off the kicker. So, I mean, you can still use the kicker to kick it in. I think in reality, this needs to come up just a tick more, like there. So now this is 12.47, 12.47. That sends it right to the upper part of the kicker. And then this down here is 11.5, 11.05. That sends it right to the lower part of the kicker. So if you hit it kind of right in the sweet spot in the middle here, like right up in here. No. Hit it right up in here. This is 11.73. 11.73. And that sends it right into the middle of the kicker. So this is probably the best I can do. Since I don't have a curved target, and I'm not about to make a curved target, I'm only going to use flat. this is pretty good for an angle of reflection down into the thing. Which means now the device holes need to unfix this, fix this, and align to this, like there. Then fix this. That's where that goes. And this target needs to rotate. To reflect that change. Approximately like that. And yeah, so that's where that target goes. So that's these targets and that target. And then I need to make a guide right over there. Now I could put this right over here too. This is out of the way of this guide, and the metal guide can go right in between these two posts, and that's a way that I can just mount plastic also. So I'll do that for the time being. I might optimize that later on, but that works well there. And then so that's that new section, and that added. So I didn't add any new targets. In fact, I replaced two of the curved targets with a single flat, and I added two flat or small thin targets, right? So I still have three targets there, but now they're three targets with different purposes. I still have the whatchamacallit, the pumpkin hit target, which is this now 1.5-inch target, and now I have targets in front of the spinner for whatever else I want them to be. So cool. So now down here, and I can get rid of all this stuff now because I don't need those, and I don't need this one. Okay, so now what I want to try and get these other targets, like here, here, and here, or whatever makes sense. Ooh, that's not what I want to do. So one thing I need to be careful of is this left orbit and this right orbit. I don't want them to get too tight and too difficult to shoot. This left orbit now with this target here makes it really tiny and really low to shoot. Let's go to top view and let's go to view see through all. Actually, let's go through and do dotted lines. No, I guess it's see through all. Yeah. Yeah, so with this target here, this spot here is really tiny, and that's not really ideal. To make it not tiny, this plastic needs to move. So like this mounting point on the plastic needs to go up here, and then I can bump this target up to here, and I don't lose any shoot space. So that's probably what I need to do with this plastic. And then likewise to make it equal and opposite, because I have so much space over here, I can easily just move this plastic up over this way and have this there and then have the mounting point there. And now this mounting point might make more sense for this loop back ramp. So I can mount maybe here and mount over here because this would go away too, right? That would be gone because this is here. This target I don't think would exist anymore, and I'd have rubber along here. Another rubber post right here. And like what I have over here. And that also affects like where this ball goes too. So that has a much more directed shot into the pumpkin area instead of this reflective thing. But now if you use the slingshot kicker, the slingshot vine flipper, I'm calling it the vine flipper. and you hit this rubber, now it does nothing. So I mean, having the target there, you're complaining again. I'll put you here. So having a target there makes sense, but this composition of target is really awkward. Come on. This competition or composition of target is really awkward right there. So that's not really ideal. So maybe replacing this guy with another one of these small thin things right here, where I can have like a post, like another post like right here. Makes sense? Um, I don't know yet. Yeah, I don't know yet. So I'll play it by ear. But this would definitely need to go up here if I want to do this. And I kind of want to do it because I kind of want to do it because then that's four targets right in front of the ramp, which is typical in pinball. And these four targets, like I said, I want them to be the vine target, which can light your lock. Meanwhile, these targets back here can be something else that maybe affects this ramp or something, right? And then yeah, and then this pumpkin target, obviously. This side target over here, I kind of want that target to just be a jack of all trades target that maybe four or five different options could be on there, kind of sticking out diagonal this way. Whatever those options would be, I don't know yet. All right, but that doesn't change that I still need to deal with this target here. Oh, I also need to deal with the rubbers here. So this can remain a bumper post, protect against this entry, but it also is for the ramp flap too. That probably needs to stay like that. With the no, that's right. There's not rubbers there. It's only going to be a guide. Yeah, I don't want this. I don't want this post here. Anything that could potentially make replacing rubbers more difficult, I just don't want. So that's just going to be a metal guide, like right flat along there. That'll be perfectly fine. And then this post and this post would be, they're both underneath the plastic, which is underneath the pumpkin. That's not really ideal. I don't think there's anything I can do about that. So if that's the case, then maybe I can just put this there. And then that just has a little metal reflector right there. Yeah, all right. I've reconvinced myself to have that there. That really is a better spot to help bind this down, I think. Well, all right, if the pumpkin, where's the pumpkin device? If the pumpkin is right there, yeah, see how that target's like right underneath the pumpkin, which is much, much better. If the pumpkin's right there, and I am gonna have more foliage and things around there. This is going to be really hard to get to. And then the post on this side is obviously going to be hard to get to. Looking straight down, see how it's all covered up by the pumpkin? That post is way over here. That other post would be like over here. That's less difficult to get to than that. The pumpkin is actually going to be really easy to take off. You know what? The pumpkin's going to be really easy to take off. Because it's just one screw that binds it on. Yeah, and you can even see this post isn't fully covered by the pumpkin there. Obviously, it would be more covered with the foliage and other sceneries. But for the with the pumpkin, um, this hole right here is a screw hole, so that's the only thing keeping the pumpkin on. And this is very similar to how the castle on Super Mario Brothers, the Gottlieb game, works. It just is a single bolt, kind of like right in the middle of the thing. And to make sure this is facing the right direction, I'm gonna have kind of guide brackets on the inside, so you can only put it on one way, and then it won't really shimmy, so it'll stay when it's rotating. So that'll be easy to get off, and then you can get to the rubber posts, or then you can get to the plastic in the rubber posts. So yeah, all right, I'll leave this on there. Okay, um, I'm gonna think about these for a minute, and while I do that, I'm gonna create a new guide. Let's see, what did I call these things? I called them. That's not the. Oh, that's devices. I want guides. Inner loop guide. Guides metal. Why is there out hole guide, plastic, metal guide, spinner loop? Yeah, the metal guide, spinner loop bag. Okay, so metal. This should be fixed. Okay, a metal guide. Um, right pumpkin. Metal guide pumpkin right. Yeah, that's what I'll call it. Um, and how long is this guide? 1.91 inches. Actually, this is, I'll call it 1.75 inches. So file new art top. 1.25 inches. I mean 1.75 inches, sorry. And this is gonna be a 16th of an inch deep. I'm building this slightly differently because I don't need the sweep in this case. I don't see a point. 1/116. Here's extrude 1 1/8, and then like everything else is gonna be all part of the course. Sketch. Come on. This is gonna be in the middle, and it's gonna be a 1 inch with two screw holes in it. And because this is a very known size, I don't need to like build it in place or anything like that. I didn't want to do that. Almost did the same thing again, like a doofus. Equal. This is 0.2, I think, or 3/16, something like that. Extrude 1 and 1/16. Other way, my cut. And because this is all orthogonal, it makes it really easy to just do a bunch of rectangle drawings. Extrude cut 1/8. Lay 1/32. And whoop, that's not what I want to do. 1/32. And 3/32. And 1/8. Okay. File. Save as. Parts. Metal guides. So, metal guide. In right. Add the sucker in. Metal guide pumpkin right. So this thing meets onto here. Now this comes over here and aligns around here. There. Yeah, so you can see, I mean, it doesn't even need to be 1 3/4. It can be probably 1 5/8. So it's not very big. 1 5/8. See, 1 5/8 is more than enough. More than enough for this. And yeah, I mean, it'll go there. It'll reflect. This come in a little bit more like that. I'll fix this in place here. This will go in guides metal. This can get shifted ever so slightly, like yay. Is that works like that? It gives it plenty of space to bounce around and do the thing it needs to do and not get into trouble. Get up here more. Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of space around that. Now let's add dimples for this thing. Here and here. Is equal to my dimple. I have right here. All right, so that's that. That's that. That has the guide there. Okay, so this section I think is now officially done. When I put a plastic that kind of covers around over this, this will be occluded underneath the plastic a little bit, and the plastic will have green foliage on it, so you won't necessarily see the target, but you'll know you're hitting underneath there. I would like to be able to put the target a little bit further back, but as you see, that does affect the reflect angle and the output angle to this kicker, and I really want to reflect onto the kicker more often than not. And even when the kicker kicks up into this thing, it will then reflect back more straight at it. Because this angle is this thing right here. If this kicker hits here, actually, then it'll reflect down more. And that's fine. So if this kicker hits that, it's going to come down. In that case, I might want this to be a little bit of a rubber right here. Maybe that makes sense to make that rubber. Like, or maybe it makes sense to make this whole thing rubber right along here, which would actually be better for my purposes because then I can have, a post mount over there. That's something I can test with the next cut because, I can just screw in a couple posts right along here, just take the rail off, put some posts in, and it might work fine. If it does, then that's awesome. I would much rather that to make this more bouncy than to have it a piece of metal over there. I won't know until I build it. This is one of those things you do need to build and test. You can conceptualize all you want, but it really won't work out unless you build and test it. Another option, if I do put rubber here, in theory, I could put another slingshot here, so this could sling and hit back up. So if this vine flipper thing shoots up, hits this thing, and it bounces back on here, it could kick back up diagonal this way, up and around, or up and hit these targets back in, and you can get a lot of play. I'm not sure if that's the right choice for this particular game. Again, that's something that would maybe need to be tried, and I might just see a couple holes right here to allow me to add in a slingshot if I so choose. I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think just rubber will be fine in this case. But also, if you come down this ramp and hit this thing, you could slingshot with the sling, and then you won't necessarily go out the. I don't know. I need to play it. I need to play it. So that solves that. I still have the issue of this target here. That this if I duplicate this post, because remember, well, I do have a spare black rubber post over here. If this rubber post goes like right there, and this is going to cause issues again. So this is going to protect from the side here, but then I can still have a target kind of facing up, so this can hit and reflect up again. I kind of like that idea. You can't really hit that target directly with a flipper, but you'll hit it from this kicker flipper thing, or from just random movements, which might be okay. Um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's good. This is a regular square target. Obviously, it can't be a square target. And I do need to go into device holes and fix this. Needs to come up to there. let's make this 5/8 and make this 1/2 inch. So it's a hole for one of these things. And put this up. This one of these is fixed. Yeah, you're fixed. I don't want you fixed anymore. I do want this kind of fixed here. And I can rotate this and pull this up a little bit. Unfix this. Kind of put it like there. So like I said, obviously you're not going to be able to really hit this with the low. Well, maybe you could. I pull this here. Fix that. Yeah, I don't know. If I make this diagonal like this is going to be a problem. But I now know like what my shot extreme is going to be to be able to hit that thing. So I don't know if that matters. Right? I don't know if that matters anymore. And then that would pull down a little bit, which would make this less congested there. And then if I make that just a big rubber across that, I kind of really like that idea. Pull that to there. And okay, let's go to this thing and see where what this would hit across. So this would go to like there. I mean, you could nick the flipper and then that would throw you up around this orbit a bit. You know, like if you nick it kind of like right there, or nicking that would kind of send you into that would send you into the spinner. That's kind of neat. Otherwise, if you want the this, you have, what's the size that you have here now? 2 inches. Yeah, you have about 2 inches of space, which is plenty. Yeah, you have about 2 inches of space, which is plenty. That's almost 2 times the ball width to get up and in and hit that target. Because again, you know, you get reflected a little bit off of this thing over here and up and in. I'm going to leave this like this, and I'm going to put another target so you can get it from the bottom. And then, obviously, if this goes too low, you'll hit the target and bounce. And you'll be out of control there, for sure. If you hit this on, the reflection of that is going to send you kind of out. And, you know, actually, that's going to be really bent. That's going to send you far more down this way. But if you're off by a little bit, it will send you over here and can send you out. I'm gonna leave it like this. This might work okay. I'm gonna want to play it and see if it does well. But now next step is to put a target there. So it's gonna be another one of these smaller targets. So let's grab whatever this target is. Hi, David. Um, where is this target? Target's right here. So I'm going to duplicate this guy, throw this guy in here, see if, yeah, Yeah, I think that'll work all right. I am a little concerned about the reflection out the out lane, but honestly, if you miss your shot here, you hit this and you go out, I could technically detect that, right? I could detect that you hit this target, go right in the out lane within a certain time unit delta, and be like, oh, well, here, we'll kick the back out. Here's a quick ball save for you, right? So that's 100% possible to do. So yeah, I don't think I'm too worried about this. Uh, did I duplicate that? No, I did not duplicate that yet. So now I duplicated it. Is my move. Put that on there. Um, and I'm gonna make this parallel to this cutout because the cutout's gonna be the source of truth for this. That'll live right in here. That's not quite big enough for this. Oh, right, because I need to make that hole a tickle lord. Now, I mean, I could make the hole diagonal the other way, so you stick it up and around and in. That's kind of cheeky. I could do that. Uh, but I'm not going to right now. So this is, I think I said 2132, right? Just a tickle bigger, just to allow the target to go in. So there's that going in there. Yeah, I kind of like that. Now I wonder if this post is too close to the target. I think it'll be all right. Yeah, I think that'll be all right. All right, so now I need a through hole here. Oh, I need to figure out how I want these targets rotated, actually. So if I make this target straight down... All right. If I make this target straight down, this will come kind of back a little bit. This will reflect into the slingshot. Yeah, so let's rotate the target a little bit. A little more like this. A little more in line with the scoop ramp. Um, yeah, and this still allows me to mount something there. Yeah, that's all right. So this, if I hit shoot up, just like last time, like I was concerned about this. If this shoots up there, it'll reflect to this flipper fine, just because this is essentially the opposite angle of this guy over here, and I know this guy's okay. So I can cut holes for those. Then it's a matter of these things moving around. And interestingly enough, because of where this target is, I could just move this here. You're not going to hit any problem, and then that'll alleviate some of this the closeness stress of some of these things. Because if I put this in here, that's going to be too close to the edges and corners and everything. But there's nothing saying I can't put this right here. and that makes it a lot easier to put the screw hole in and everything. So I think I'll do that. And then this rail can just come up a little bit more because technically speaking, you're never going to hit that part of the rail based on where this flipper is and where the target is. And this target actually can come up a little bit more and can rotate ever so slightly like this to be a little more in line with the ramp. You know, very similar to how that is. And again, that's not blocking this too much. Like obviously when this is here, this is blocking it an extra eighth of an inch maybe. I think that's going to be okay. And then this comes up like here-ish, and then this whole rail can shift up. This is why I wanted to like finish this playfield before I start sending rails out and all this and that and the other thing, because everything dictates like everything else, and I don't want to waste money and waste shipping and such. So I think that'll go up there. And likewise, a similar thing can be over here, really. Because if that's there, this can just go up here, and then that rail can shift up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. And that makes this a little more available than it would be way over here. And it protects the edge of this target, and that rail goes. Yeah, so I can put that in. And when you're shooting up, you're never going to hit over on this left side, so that'll work fine. And that'll also make this a little more vertical to kind of deflect up more instead of over, which is preferable. So let's put that there. This guide right here. So I have that fixed right there, but I can come up here more. I can now unassociate it with that because it doesn't need to be on there anymore. And I can come in right there. Oh, I do need to make sure that this is tangent. Because once I unassociate it, the tangency goes away a little bit. And then, poof, that works there. So I went in on that side. I want to pull this out. Oh, I see what happened there. And do that. That's tangent. This is going to be fixed. And then this is going to be tangent. And then make sure that stays tangent. Now that allows me to adjust this a bit down here. More to where I want it to be. Yeah, right in there. Okay, that's good. And I do a similar thing on this side over here. Click on this pad, I edit the component, and make that little sweep adjustment, which will hopefully work out okay because I actually started this as the beginning of the sweep. I don't want to edit this sketch. I want to edit this sketch. So I'll get rid of this. I want this to stay, well, it doesn't need to stay exactly the same. It can come up right up over here. But what's this length? This is now going to be 2.75. Convenient. And then that just kind of bumps that up a little bit. No, and that didn't affect anything else around that rail. And now that shifted that up, everything's kind of out of the way and in a good spot. I can take this plastic, I can shift this plastic up a little bit, and it can mount onto here, which again, there's no problem with that. That actually makes this a little easier to see down here. So that is conveniently this shape. which doesn't need to have this all crazy bump out anymore, actually. It just needs to kind of come up this way. And I can have a tangent from there into here. I don't want to affect it that much. I want that to stay fixed. Tangent this. And pull that like that. You see, so it's still effectively the same thing. It just adjusted over a little bit. Now I'm going to have an error with one of my cuts. Yeah, this cut needs to now move to here. And that shifts that all over, and then it's all good. And then the same thing on this other side. And then I don't need this weird shape here either, which is nice. Yeah, that's this shape. This whole thing. Why is that fixed? Oh, this is offset of something? Oh, it's attached to this sketch. Yeah, this whole horse malarkey can go away. Actually, I'm going to leave the sketch the way it was, and I'm just going to adjust this other sketch. I think that's the better way to do it. For that, you're going to move. No, you're not going to move. Okay. Now you're going to move over to here. You can be the size that you need to be. Then I can do a tangent here this way and pull this up a little bit. I can then make sure it's tangent from here to here. Tangent from here to here, and tangent from here to here. And then that works out okay. I don't want that to be fully aligned with that. I do want that to be tangent. That now I can pull this in a little bit more. All right, stop that. I like how this is, but I want this stays tangent. This stays. Okay, that's tangent. Okay, that's fine. And I can pull this in a little bit more. So yeah, so that curve is more like that. These two curves probably can be equal. What are you? You're let's make you 0.5. Let's make you both 0.5. Then it'll be nice and equal. Let's fix this in place. And then that is that. So now those plastics have moved, made room for the targets that are over here. And obviously this target looks like it's cutting into the ramp, but the ramp is cut vertically there. It doesn't actually come forward like that. So those targets are going to be fine. I do need to adjust this target, and then I need to cut all the target holes. And then that will be it for today. This 1 hour stream turned out to be about 2 hours. Huzzah. So let's get this rotated. You know, because it really should be somewhat collinear with this thing. It just kind of makes sense that way. And yeah, you see that there's still plenty of space in here for you to make that shot. I mean, this hole has always been really large, and I'm thinking about moving this post up and around kind of in certain spaces. You should go more like that. Ball is going to roll down this way more, so I kind of want this off that somewhat. There. Okay. Holes. Yay, holes. And adjust the size in a minute, just so long as it's all aligned properly. These are going to be linear and equal. These are going to be equal. This is, I said it was 2132. This is, actually, I don't need to do that because they have this right above here. I can say this and this are equal. I can say this and this are, no, this and this are equal. And that'll make the whole correct. Slide that right in there. This is the source of truth, so that can kind of go in there. That can kind of go in there. I can then adjust this momentarily when, yeah, because that's aligned well enough. So that target's going to pull down a little bit more. And I don't care about the space here. There's not going to be any major ball movement and whatnot. And it's still not big enough for the ball to get behind. So that's fine. Okay, now we did that side. Now we got to do this side. Same idea. So this, 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 and this. And same thing over here. But like a goober, I didn't give myself enough space. So let's try that again. Now notice how this is so much further up than this side, which means I might need to change something. Oh wait, this is pushed down a little. Yeah, I may need to make an adjustment to something in a minute. And like last time, these two things are equal. Well, I'm not going to make them collinear in this case. I'll make them parallel. But I think that left side does need to be bumped up a little further just to make room for this thing. These are going to be equal. And then I'll set this stuff equal to what's over here. They're the same size target. So this and this are equal. And then this and this are equal. And I'll take this and I'll pull this over here a little bit. And I'll take this and I'll pull this over here a little bit. And I can adjust the rotation of that later. Now my fillets. Around each one of these holes. So, if anyone's wondering why I'm adding fillets around holes like this, which that is incredibly annoying to select. It's because I use a 2mm tool, like a tool that has a 2mm radius when cutting these things. So if I give myself a 1/8 inch round edging for any sharp corners, that guarantees the tool is going to go around that edge and not cause any weird cuts. Since I can't actually make square cuts, that's not possible with a round tool, right? So I tend to use an eighth of an inch for my radii, or diameters, a radius in this case, to ensure that the tool can cut it properly. And it also looks aesthetically good, at least in my opinion. Can I please select this one line right here? Or are you gonna make me rotate? Nope. Okay, good. All right, so those are all those cuts. This over here needs to be adjusted, as I mentioned. The rotation of this, rotate. Like, yay. Now this over here, I can't really move this target back because then it won't be hittable. This post actually is meant to be a little. Oh, I can't move that. That's what device holes. Wait a minute. Did it rebuild? Device holes. So this. Oh, I see what's going on there. Um, that'll definitely affect that a little bit more. It needs to. It needs enough space there for that. And that means that would get bumped up a little bit. What would that do? That would actually be fine to bump that up a little bit. This is not fixed. I'm going to fix this. Oh, is this side this side is fixed? I don't want to fix this. Let's make this 6 or 5 and 7/8. Pull that in a little bit more, which also affects this. I slide this way a little bit. This to here. Nope. Nope. From this to here. No. Come on. From this point to this line, 1 and 3/8. Make it 1 and 3. Why is that no? What are you doing? From this point to this line, 1 and 3/8. Thank you. So that'll push that way. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I think I do definitely want that pushed up a little bit more like that. Up here a little bit more. Make that a little more realistic. And then this thing, this rubber, should adjust this a little bit. No, I want the rubber. This sweep. Instead of that being 6, this is gonna be 5 and 7/8, right? Yeah. And this section over here actually will then move to like there. Not attach that. So that'll be kind of in like that. So that gives me plenty of space there. That allowed, now this is going to allow me to pull the target back a little bit. So it's a little more in line with this. I really don't want them to be too out of alignment, but they need to be a little bit out of alignment because this left one needs to be further back so you have more space to shoot. This right one doesn't need to be that much further back. This one. Yeah, so now that's a little off still, but that's about as best as I can do. That's, yeah, that's like a 16th. That's almost a 16th of an inch difference, which isn't bad. That's pretty close. To the human eye, when you're playing the game, you're not going to be able to tell the difference, really. All right, so that's that. That's that. That is now these targets added in. So what I successfully did was add 4 more targets today and rejigger the 3 targets underneath the pumpkin to now have 2 separate uses for the targets instead of a singular hit area. So I think that's pretty good. And I'm actually surprised I was able to get this target to still kind of sort of be there. That makes me pretty happy. And there's still enough space around that for the rubber. And in fact, I can pull that like there. And there's definitely plenty of space for the rubber. You can see how much the rubber kind of bumps out here. So that gives plenty of space for that rubber so the target won't get into issues. Plenty of space for these targets to get hit and do their kind of springy motion. Plastic, these plastic little side ramp things have been adjusted now to support these targets. That left target area, I mean, yes, the left orbit is somewhat tight, but I think it's fine. It's definitely more open than it was in the previous iteration. And I can even show you like previous whole iterations in a minute when I regenerate a couple things. Okay, this target's gone. This target's gone. I don't need those. Now I need to reorganize this a little bit because I got stuff all over the place, not in folders. All these rectangle targets, small rectangle, long rectangle. Like all these targets should get fixed, and all these targets should go into the targets folder. Oh, this double post. Where is this double post? Oh, that's that double post. Yeah, this double post needs to go into post plastic. Led Zeppelin ramp needs to go into ramps. These screws all need to go into hardware. Right in lane ramp and left in lane ramp. I'm going to keep those out because I'm still actively editing and adjusting those. Okay, cool. Um, I'm going to generate a new schematic. I don't think I'm going to go over rules today because it's already been about 2 hours, but I will generate a new schematic and I'll generate a new playfield cut layout and I'll show you the difference between the previous 2 cut layouts and previous schematics because it's kind of neat to see like really the differences between these things. I don't need this to show. And what is this? This is, I don't really need this to show. What is this? That I want to show still. This I don't really care anymore. Okay. So there's that. That's what the game's looking like so far. Next, let's close this. I don't want to save those things. And then I'm going to open up the drawing because I'm upkeeping a drawing schematic as I go. And I don't know what those sketches are. Like why I don't need to show this. What is this? Like there's some drawings that are visible that I don't know what they are. Who are you? Oh, is this device holes? Yeah, I don't need to have the device holes active. That's right. I used to have the device holes active when I generated this thing before I had everything in there. Now I have this much more realized, so I don't need all those there. Okay, so here's schematic. I'm gonna save the previous schematic. This is V2. Or this old one, I think, is V2. This current one is going to be the new one. Let's save and save as PDF. So there's that. Done. Next, what I also have is the playfield top schematic, which I've been updating slowly. Let's. Okay. No, this V2A. Put it in V2A. And this is just the. That's not what I want to load. I want to load this one. This is just the playfield top itself. It's not anything else on it. This is what I export out when I want to CNC the thing. But it's also really cool to see hole changes. Let's save and let's save as a PDF. Okay, so now comes some of the cool stuff. Open this up and hide this. Let's open this up. Then let's open this up. All right. So I'm going to switch over to the other screen, which is, I think, this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. So this is version 1 of the playfield. And I'm going to keep it mounted to the upper left. Nothing down here on the lower part ever really changes. So that's fine. So this is the version that I cut about a month and a half ago. Then the version that I was working on as of yesterday is this one, V2. Now, if you notice, V1 to V2, lots of little things changed between these two schematics, didn't they? I mean, it doesn't look like the layout changed much, but I mean, I used to have a big arc of targets here. This ramp over here, that the entry point for that changed drastically. And even the rotation of this left ramp and position of this right ramp changed a bit when I popped between those two. See that? Also, this had an actual flipper, which has been getting in the way. And this is when I changed things to be a slingshot instead. So this is V1 that I cut. This is V2 that I had as of yesterday. But now, let's look at V2 and compare it to V2, what I'm calling V2A, like the current one that I just changed today. The new one looks like this. So you can see between these two, the things that changed are all these targets and posts around the ramps and like this whole section here, like right around the pumpkin thing, right? So that's the old, that's the current, or that was yesterday's. This is today's. Yesterday's, today's. Again, not a lot changed. I added a bunch of targets, but just a few things, just enough things modified that um it makes it'll hopefully make it play better. Now let's go V1 compared to today's. That's drastic difference. Oh, and I forgot that the left target down here, that changed currently. So V1 it was pushed back a little bit more, but now everything's pushed over more to make room for like this down post that didn't really fit in the previous version. And V1 didn't even have a down post on this right side. Then V2 added the down post, and the current one, I didn't even change that area. That's fine. Also, the launch ramp section changed. So V1 it was further down. V2 now it's a little further up. See? So I mean, it's fun to see some of those changes. Uh, so there's that, and hang on a second. Well, what is go away. And then one other thing to look at, close this, is this is what the schematic looks like. Come on, open. Firefox are really close. Yeah, fine, close. I don't know what was going on there. All right, and obviously this is what the schematic looks like. This one. And I have my own large format printer I can print this out on. The ink is giving me a little issues, and this time of year it's really cold, so it doesn't print right. So I'll just go right to Staples, and I can print one of these things like 1-to-1. I can scale this up to 100%, and you can see, it's the full size that I need it to actually be if I was to print it and put it on a table to see what the thing looked, or put it on like a desk to see what it looked like. Uh, Automatic zoom. So yes, this is that schematic that I printed up. But yeah. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed what you saw. I hope it was useful to you. And I'll see you next time. Tomorrow maybe, Friday maybe. What tomorrow is Friday. Oh, tomorrow is Friday. It's if I want to cut this thing on Saturday, I guess I'll be back tomorrow to do a little bit more and get things kind of squared away more. And at least double check to make sure I have everything on the main playfield needed. Everything like this ramp, this right ramp, I don't necessarily need to get finalized because that's above the playfield. But I do need to make sure that any place that plastic is going to mount or ramps are going to mount are in the right spot tomorrow. So I will see you then. Bye.